Before we go to the fifth step, I quickly want to point out that on step 4, it's a great idea to drive the car in races or community races or daily races, whatever, because when you're in the heat of the moment, your car starts to speak to you in a different way, because you actually as a person are different, because you're under pressure, you want to perform, you're pushing the car harder maybe than in your practice sessions. Also, when you're side by side with different cars, you need to react maybe when you're doing multi-classes or whatever, or have dangerous situations, you need to avoid stuff, then the setup is also going to speak to you in a different way than just driving very clean laps. So think about that. Now also, when you are on the 4th step, 95% of your car setup is done, but to give your car a different spice or a different feeling, I think dampers are really important. I really want to point out how to think about them, how to apply them, and make sure they don't overwhelm you anymore. So this is also important when you go for the different wing settings. Wing settings might have a lot of difference on your rebound. Why is this? If we have more downforce on the car, meaning our car body is pulling our tires more to the road surface, we can get away with stiffer rebound. Why is this? Well, if we didn't have a lot of aerodynamic force, then the car body would sit up higher in the air, and with more rebound dampening, the tires will lose contact more easily. Now, think about dampers only in the bump. So you pick bump only. If you read through these chapters, let's say we have a situation where we have our car that is on the Puhan in step 2, really well on the grip, but we might feel that it's too snappy. Like the beginning of that corner is like really gripping up, and then later it's the proper setting. Then a more stiffer bump could be the answer. Now, you start with bump, right? And then rebound follows, fast rebound, fast. Keep them equal. So you got all these numbers everywhere, but you just focus on the bump only. And you just give a bit more bump to make the car like a little bit numb on that initial braking and turning moment, right? Also, when you're on the throttle and you kind of always feel that the car doesn't really want to turn on the throttle, or it's kind of always understeering in a very nuanced way, then stiffening up the rear bump a little bit, and then you follow the other values to keep them somewhat equal. On high downforce, you might have a little bit less rebound or a little bit more rebound dampening the difference between the bump. And if it's very bumpy track and you have soft springs and maybe low downforce, then you want to have that rebound very close to the bump or even a bit lower. But that is all. You don't have to overthink all these different values. It can get very complicated, and if you just focus on the bump, it will be okay. Obviously, you can read all through all these chapters how this squatting of the car, slow bump, stiff bump, how it actually can work. And this is also very car dependent, but I really believe when you did some races with a car, then you can immediately think, hey, I had like a few situations where my car was just so much on a knife on certain areas. Just increasing those bump values can just make the car so much more forgiving all of a sudden. Again, there's gonna be a file that you can run it through Motec. You can just, like, you don't have to remember this, and I also market this product that you don't have to use it. I didn't use anything like it. Now I'm just more into it because I want to optimize my setups, but I've won races, I did races, I was consistent, and I never touched this stuff. Now, if you really want to get into dampers, this simulation in particular, like, really simulates them well, so it's kind of interesting to me. So let's talk about this screen that I have right here for the Lexus GT3. I picked soft springs because it's Sebring, and I have a bump value that is kind of soft. Right, so why is it soft? Well, 0 is soft, 11 is hard. So we have 20% of bumps, right? I will tell you, and this is for a lot of simulations, and I'm really confident about this, I picked a a kind of a soft bump, and I just did a little bit softer rebound because it's such a bumpy track. I would just pick these values and let the others follow. Then what I would do, if let's say I have this setup, it's Sebring, right? Let's say we have Silverstone, right? And I have a great car on Sebring. By the way, the ride heights, the Packers, anti-roll bars, these are originated from Spa. They are not completely reinvented. Let's say we would have Silverstone, right? And I would have this max wing setting. Then we go to Silverstone. Now Silverstone is with fast corners, right? And it's like a lot more smooth. Then I would pick just stiffer springs in general. And let's see how high they go. Well, this is 50%. Well, it's a good way to start, 50%. And then I would just do 50% and let the rebound follow, let's say 5-6, right? And I would also do that for this. So you can see all these values very like intimidating, but you need to focus on the slow bump or the slow compression only. Now, then people might say, yeah, but how are you going to know it's going to be good? Well, a lot of times when I go back to histos, I say, oh, it's okay. It's maybe not perfect, but you can tweak it. Now, again, if you have Silverstone and on the throttle, it's kind of, let's say you did this, 5 and 6, 5, 6 over here. Let's take these values. Now, if you bring this to Silverstone with the stiffer springs, now if you feel like the car is numb or it's not really gripping up on the front and you feel, I don't know, some understeer, but you have great balance overall, but it's just you want to get some more out of it, then you could just drop them again with a bit or get a little bit closer to that rebound. Again, this is when you are on the limit and you're driving fast and you did multiple practice laps, then that is the point when you need to get into Motec. A lot of people never get there. A lot of people don't get there, but then, only then. And you can read through the chapter to get a feeling what this slow bump and the slow bump on the back does to the car behavior. Then the last thing I need to say about curbs and making the car jump. So think about, on some tracks you might have a curb that you really need to get. Let's say you're doing Imola or Monza, like there will be like this situation where you have Ascari, you might want to touch curbs a lot there. Then think about the fast movements, like the fast bump. If the fast bump is increased, the velocity of the wheel going up goes more slowly, the initial moment, right? I really believe still that fast dampening and slow dampening is kind of need to be connected together. But let's say if you go take a curb, a very high one, and you bottom out the car, a stiffer fast bump dampening might make the car jump a little bit. And when the car jumps, obviously it goes up in the air a bit better, and then you might not bottom out the car. So instead of like, oh, I need to increase the ride heights and bottoming out the car, if your car bottoms out on very specific moments, then a fast bump increase you can use to prevent it. So that's also how to think about bumps, like how the car jumps. Now, obviously, if the car jumps too much, it unsettles a lot and you lose a lot of road contact. So there's obviously, and this is also very personal. So think about this fast, and again, then the rebound dampening needs to follow. You know, if you got very stiff bump and very soft dampening on the rebound, and you got like this high frequency oscillation on the rebound. So, and that's also not good. So let them follow to keep it simple.